Okay, video 24. Good evening, gentlemen. I just had a nice long chat with my wife. It's been a good day. Oh, what have I done today? I ripped out a cactus at my mom's house. I met with some clients, spent time with my little boys and my family, and some good conversation with my wife, and actually went to a little joint and spent some time with some friends as well. It's been a good night, been a good day, actually. My wife, though, my wife is always, always up to something, always into something. She's very high energy and inspiring. That's the word I'll use. She's talking about creating a little course on how women can be women. She's actually quite good at that. Having some kind of, model that is different than gym rat. instead of a hood rat, it's a gym rat. That's how that works. Yeah. So I guess that's what I'm going to talk about tonight because my mind's been on aesthetics. It's been on aesthetics and styles and energies that accompany those things and all that kind of stuff. And I don't really want to talk about women, but maybe about men. So, well, maybe both. Maybe just the concept in general, because that's really what intrigues me. So we have these different styles, like this, right? This is a polo shirt that I'm wearing. Has these little stripes on it. This is what they call, oh, I don't even know if I would call it that, business casual. But when I go to meet clients of mine, you gotta throw on at least a polo. That's bare minimum. Or for me it is anyway. But again, right, that's my style. That's what I do. I don't really ever wear dress shirts anymore. I got into them for a little bit, and they're just, I don't know, not really my thing. I got into I experimented a bit with styles, different styles, and I'm much more casual than I am formal. Formal is just too restrictive, and it's just too stiff. That's the word I'm looking for. Is stiff. Kind of with like slacks and stuff like that. It's just too stiff, man. Just give me a pair of jeans and I'm good to go. Dark wash pair of jeans that look good. We're good. It's a lot easier it's more versatile as well. A lot of things go with blue jeans. Less things go with blue slacks. You have to sort of mesh things together. And if you don't mesh it properly, it just ends up looking kind of odd. Like if I wore this with some slacks, it would look a little strange. This is more, jeans, a little more casual. Anyway, uh, there's so much in terms of style out there, and it's important to experiment with it to try to figure out what you like and what you can embody. So when you experiment with this stuff, you do what I did, and you kind of find out, well, that wasn't really me, and I didn't really feel like me when I was wearing it. So that's not good. Because if I'm going to be wearing something and I want to be natural, then I got to be me in that getup, right? And if I'm not me, that kind of shows. So you can dress nicer, right? I can always dress nicer. It's not really me that I'm wearing. And if you can learn how to step into whatever your style is, it shows and it complements you. That's what I'm looking for. You are much better complimented when you can step into these things and embody these things where it's what you're reflecting isn't just some mask that you're wearing. You're reflecting something that's inside of you that you can actually feel. And I know that might sound weird, but truly, and or cliche, right? This is one of these really cliche things. How would I turn this into some empty ass platitude? Don't wear clothes, wear you, or something stupid like that. But I mean, it's true to a degree. To a degree, it's true. Okay, so if you can you can wear pretty much anything as long as you can flaunt it. I don't know how else to put it. If you can embody it, then you can wear it. It doesn't really matter what it is. Like like Lady Gaga, she wears weird ass stupid things, but she's like a kind of like a weird freaky ass kind of person. So she embodies that like weird ass, like I'm gonna wear a meat suit kind of thing, as about as well as one can embody meat suit, right? There's lots of innuendo in that I'm not going to go into. I'll let your imagination just kind of take over from here. Anyway, so yeah, experiment with your style. I think it's important actually to be aesthetically pleasing to the eye. It's far superior to be aesthetically pleasing than it is to be unkept and ugly and just, man, I don't give a shit. I used to dress that way and it was just awful, and I look like 10 times better than I used to. It's like night and day difference, can't even tell you. So it's important, and it's part of maturing actually. So I don't want to be, I have to tread carefully here, because when I'm talking about taste and developing taste, there's a certain pretentiousness that just oozes out of this idea of taste. And there are people that make whole cultures around having taste, and they act as if it's like the end all be all, and it's not at all. Taste is like purely aesthetic. Like, you really don't need to do it to survive. So there's that. I mean, you can be ugly and get away with it. There are plenty of ugly people who are doing just fine on a farm out in the middle of nowhere, and they have their weird wife and kids and their ranch and all this kind of shit. So, if you want to be ugly, be ugly. But it's always preferable to be beautiful. Beauty is one of the most treasured things that we have. And we don't realize that because of how stupid our culture is and how, like, artistically vapid our entire culture is. Because we started experimenting with nonsense. I can't remember the dude's name because I can't ever remember names, but the one dude, and he was basically just challenging the gatekeepers of the art community, and it was like, look, LOL, pissed on urinal is my art exhibit. And it was a big thing at the time because it's a challenge to the gatekeepers, and it's like, we get it, but we don't want to continue in that fashion. You really don't want to drag art, which is supposed to be this representation of things that meaningful and beautiful. Really, I mean, we can reduce it, and we can be this fucking reductionist that just reduces everything down to, like, well, no, it's just communication. Well, okay, then it's nothing. There's nothing special about it. Everything's communication. This goddamn brown is communication. Like, whatever. You're saying nothing, and you're removing the beauty and majesty from art, and it pisses me off. I hate this reductionist shit. Well, it's anything. What's another one of these like lovely things that people say? Art is subjective, which is the most horseshit thing I've ever heard in my life. And you want to know why? Because there's never been a time in your life where you picked up a piece of dog shit and bit into it and you're like, oh wow, this tastes great. It's like, no, it tastes like dog shit. That's the same thing with dirt. You scoop dirt in your mouth. It's like, no, it's dirt. You're not supposed to be eating it. There's no taste in that, right? The same way, the goddamn urinal, at the end of the day, I understand that it's like sending a message, but it's tasteless, stupid, and like vile and dumb. I don't care how much money it made or how much impact it made. Whatever. It's stupid. Anyway, tirade. Tirade's over. So aesthetics are important. God damn it. Aesthetics are important, and you don't. You tread those nihilistic waters at your own risk, okay? You tread these nihilistic waters where like you don't give a shit about how you look, you don't give a shit about anything. It's like, there's that one. There are these two images actually. Now that we're on this topic, I can actually bring these up. These happened today. I saw this today. It was some like man cave, and it was clearly just oh god. There's four different pictures. And the first one was someone going downstairs. They were walking downstairs, and there was this little, like, pretty, what's it called? Like, Hobby Lobby, like, man cave, little cardboard cutout thing that was right above the entrance to the room. Oh, and there were all these other touches in the room, and it was just so obvious that a woman had created this for this guy. And it's upsetting because it's this weird thing. It's like someone made an analogy, and it's the perfect analogy. It's like letting your wife dress you. There are guys out there that do that, where there's just like, well, honey, why don't you just pick my clothes for the day? And it's like, why? You know what you want to wear better than she does. Like, what the fuck? Why are you like throwing the burden of what clothes to wear on your wife? It's just bizarre. I don't understand it. And it's the same thing. It honestly is the same thing with decorative things and how the house is set up. And I understand why it happens, but there has to be like it shouldn't just be like the wife's presence is the only presence that exists in the home. There needs to be more than that, because it's not just the wife in the home. It's not a man cave if your fucking wife designed it. I'm sorry, it's not. It's the I've been castrated cave. I don't know how else to put it. It's not you. It has no representation of you. It has all this like forced nonsense that's not you. And you look at it and you roll your eyes or whatever. And then your friend comes over and he points it out and he makes fun of you for it because you're a freaking loser that doesn't know how to decorate his own space. It's like, whatever. Anyway. Back on topic. So there was that thing. And then someone matched that up against those pictures of the like absolute bachelor pad where it's just like it's like some high rise with a chair and like a television and maybe a computer and that's it, and like a lamp. And like I understand what they're saying there. They're saying that men don't need much to get by, and this is true, which is why I said you don't need to develop any style. You don't need aesthetics for survival. You can be an ugly farmer with an ugly wife and God bless America, right? But that doesn't mean that your high rise with a chair and a computer is like cool or tasteful or anything good, or like you should strive to be this. No. Literally all all the best art in history is made by men. That's just a fact. Like every all art that has survived throughout the ages is made by men, and it's made by people who are completely insane and completely obsessed and make the most incredibly like jaw-droppingly beautiful things that you'll ever lay eyes upon. And those things will live forever, and they will always inspire awe and wonder, and they'll live on for the rest of time. And if you ask me, that's something to strive for. Like if you're going to do anything in this life, it may not be the most important thing. And if you okay, I'll get into that later. It may not be the most important thing, but having something that you do, something that you poured all of your heart and mind and your everything that is you poured it into some painting or a sculpture or whatever, right? Doesn't really matter. It's a representation of your passion and your spirit, to always keep improving and always keep striving for more and striving better and just pushing yourself and never giving up and all of this awesome stuff. If we can somehow create that into a physical image and it's something that's absolutely beautiful and gorgeous, or something that's completely crazy and esoteric and beautiful in that way, in the sense that it's like, holy shit, that makes me think, and now I'm going to start like picking apart this guy's subconscious and this kind of shit. Whatever floats your boat, right? If it survives through the ages, if it lasts for thousands of years, that's definitely one of the most important things to strive for. If you ask me, at least top two. But there is a little bit of there's a trickiness to it, because if you strive for that, if you strive to be remembered, odds are you're probably not going to be remembered, because all your action is going to be trying to replicate the real deal, or you run the risk of doing that anyways. So anyway, all that said, aesthetics, they are captivating. Like if you want to sell a product, don't get an ugly person to sell the product. Get a pretty person with a nice smile to sell the product. Like this kind of shit. If you want to put a face on your whatever, don't get an ugly face. Like it matters and it's important, and you can say it's judgmental and cold and harsh or whatever, but it sucks to be you, because this is fucking reality. So develop your style. Figure out your style. I haven't really thought much about women and their styles and their energies and such, but I know, I mean, you can glean a bit just by being a man, right? And just looking at women and paying attention and thinking about different archetypes. And, like you have the Duchess is one of these types of people, and you have like the girl next door. That's another one. There's like cowgirl. There's all this there's these different styles, and with these come not just what they wear, but how they act and their mannerisms and things like that too. And the same goes for men. You have, think of different sort of male characters from movies that represent something. Like, you're not going to say that, what's his freaking name? Like Samuel L. Jackson has a certain persona, right? He's like the freaking wild ass guy who's just crazy all the time. You wouldn't really take him and take something like James Bond and be like, well, these are like the two same guys. They're completely different in many different ways. James Bond is very classy and refined, and he's, secretive and stealthy, but he still is just oozing with masculinity, right? And the same goes for Samuel L. in a different kind of way, in a very more wild and explosive kind of way. And, oh God, I can't think of that one motherfucker's name. Clint Eastwood. I was trying to think of Clint Eastwood that whole time. More like very much kind of hard-ass cowboy guy. Again, just oozes masculinity, but in a very different way. And you have to understand that. You have to understand where you lie in that, right? Like I talk about, in my past videos, I've talked about things like don't be a bitch, don't quit, don't ever give up, don't, like, what the fuck are you doing? I've also mentioned how there's something that I want to develop that I'm in process of going through it myself, and if it turns out to not really make that big of a difference, then I'm not gonna do it. But I have to go through this process myself. In fact, I talked to my friend about it tonight, and he has this idea that, oh God, he had this, I forgot that he told me about that until right now, and when he told me about it, it was like, this sounds like, oh, fuck, man, it's gonna be tough, but it's gonna be fun. It involves swimming. Anyways, maybe I'll talk about that another time. I don't even remember where I was going with that. Anyway, yeah, tap into things, find these things out. Oh, right. I was saying, I talked about not being a bitch and never giving up and all that kind of stuff. But I'm not, and I have sometimes I've been working on that. I've been trying to work on that with these videos. And I think I've made some progress. It's been a little slippery on this video tonight, but I have a pirate's mouth, but it's not, I have it tamed. So what I'm saying here is I'm not David Goggins, and I just have no desire to be David Goggins, because David Goggins is David Goggins, right? And I'm me. I'm not David Goggins. But he's already this established archetype of the guy who's just like, there's nothing special about me. I just never quit. And there's a lot of power to that. And there's a very specific energy to that, and it's an insanely powerful energy. It's one of the keys to masculinity is that, if you ask me. It's this idea of, I don't have to be special. I just have to not quit. I don't have to be the world's smartest guy. I don't have to compete with... I can compete with him in my own way. I can compete with the world's smartest man in my own way, right? It doesn't matter who's in charge. It doesn't matter who the authority is. This is like classic male stuff, by the way. This is like the new generation. The new generation of men come in, and they're all 20 to 25, and they're sitting there and they look at these decrepit old 70-year-old, 80-year-olds, and they think, well, beat his ass. He'll tire out real quick and he'll beat the living shit out of him, and that'll be that, and I'll be the new king. Like, this is a very masculine thing, that right there, of like toppling the existing ruler. That's pure balls, baby. And David Goggins has that in spades. In fucking spades. And I have that too, to a degree, but I don't have it as much as he does. I have other things that he doesn't have, right? I'm far more... I wouldn't even like put myself in the same camp as him. I have that spirit about me, but I'm far more artistic than anything else. I would put myself in that realm. I want to be creative, and I want to be an artist. That's my MO. But not in a... I don't want to be a stereotypical artist, which is a very artist-like thing. That's an artist-like desire, right? I don't want to be like these other fucking schmucks that are parading around calling themselves artists when none of them are. They're licking the freaking boots of the gatekeepers, right? And what I said earlier about what's his name with this goddamn urinal thing, it's like, no, I get that. Because fuck the gatekeepers and fuck these stupid ass people who are telling me what is and isn't art, right? I get that to a degree. But I just, I think there's, what's it called? The old Chesterton's fence sort of applies here. Like, we can reduce virtually anything down to meaninglessness. And so what? Maybe it's necessary sometimes. Maybe you have to do that in order to topple the existing gatekeepers in the existing kingdom. But you don't get stuck there. Like, what do you build back with? And this, again, this is the creator. This is the creator inside of you. You have to create something. You're supposed to be, if you're going to tear it down, you got to build back something ideally grander, but more importantly, something that's yours, right? It's you. It has your fucking name imprinted on it. That's the point of being a creator. It's not about like making money and this kind of shit. These are all side effects. Making money, having a legacy, blah, 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 being famous, and all this kind of crap. Those are all side effects of just being a creator and pouring your heart into something. So, yeah. Tie all that shit together, why don't you? Good night.